and the Wildcats of the University of Kentucky. Now let's meet the starting lineups. At forward for Utah, a 6'10 sophomore from Helsinki, Finland, number 13, Hannu Metala. At forward for Kentucky, a 6'5 senior from Miami, Florida, number 3, Allen Edwards. At forward for Utah, a 6'7 sophomore from Centerville, Utah, number 50, Alex Jensen. At forward for Kentucky, a 6'9 junior from Louisville, Kentucky, number 34, Scott Padgett. At center for Utah, a 6'11 senior from Portland, Oregon, number 51, Michael Goliak. At center for Kentucky, a 6'10 junior from Chicago, Illinois, number 13, Nazi Mohammed. At guard for Utah, a 6'2 junior from Los Angeles, California, number 24, Andre Miller. At guard for Kentucky, a 6'2 junior from Boston, Massachusetts, number 5, Wayne Turner. At guard for Utah, a 6'5 senior from Tooele, Utah, number 34, Drew Henson. At guard for Kentucky, a 6'3 senior from Peachtree City, Georgia, number 15, Jeff Shepard. And introducing the head coaches for Utah in his 14th year, Rick Majerus. For Kentucky in his 7th year, Tubby Smith.
Tubby Smith hired last May the 12th. All right, Billy, let's go through the Packer pointers for the championship game.
All right, Jimmy, these teams do have some contrast, but here's some keys. Block out and board. The #1 rebounding team in the country is Utah. Kentucky actually has a negative rebounding situation in the tournament, 1.8. So advantage Utah going in. Point, counterpoint, 2 great point guards. Wayne Turner, 31 minutes, 29 assists, 9 turnovers, 10 points a game. And, of course, for Miller, 16 points, 7-8 rebounds, 7.5 assists in 36 minutes. A real key matchup right there. And, of course, inside, you have Michael Goliak, 30 minutes a game, 16 points a game, going up against Nazi Mohammed and Jamal McGlure. They average 17.2 and 11.7 together. Who's going to control the paint? And the unknown soldier, Jim, we've seen so many times lately a guy step up. Toby Bailey, Ron Mercer. Can it be a Cameron Mills or an Evans or a Britton Johnson tonight? The unknown soldier could prove to be the key guy.
For the 3rd straight year, these two. Jim Burr working his 4th championship game. Gray and Sanzier their first. Kentucky in the white. Utah red. What a tournament we've had, and it all concludes here tonight at the Alamo Dome with Kentucky controlling the tip.
There's that point counterpoint matchup. Turner and Miller. Keep your eye on that one. Who's done such a great defensive job on anybody he's covered this year on Shepard. That's a key matchup defensively.
Mohammed with Metala on his back. Mohammed with the left hand, and he continues the pace that just had him blazing in the second half against Stanford, where he scored 17.
Jim, time and again, we see both Goliak and Nazi Mohammed post up in the lane about 3 feet from the rim. You've got to push him out 2 or 3 steps beyond that to stop him. Now we see Goliak getting the same kind of position.
Double up Goliak, but he still scores.
Jim, the key is the defense, not the offense there. Both centers have got to push their man out farther from the basket than that. That's a simple put-up.
Kick out, Edwards 3. Rattles out, Metala pulls it down.
There's that block out that I talked about. Block out and board. Utah does it better than anybody in college basketball.
A turnover. Here comes Turner. 3-on-3. Miller cuts off his path.
defensive statistics by both of these teams in the tournament have been awesome. Utah holding people to 38%, Kentucky to 36%. So it doesn't seem like we're going to have a high-scoring game.
Padgett gets away for the lay-in.
Good reverse dribble.
A Utah team that held Arizona, the defending champs, 40 points below its average. It's allowed only 70 points twice this season by the opponent. Medela passes up the three, steps in over Padgett to tie it back at 4.
Seen a lot more scoring and better offensive shots than I expected. Jim for 10 minutes, much less for just a minute and a half.
Edwards. Muhammad gets away, tips it up.
Good job by Nazr Muhammad.
But Hansen on the floor, calling for a timeout. No. That's a tie-up situation. The arrow belongs to Utah.
Jim, I'm going to go back to the Duke game. A lot of coaches do not like to see you call a timeout just to save a possession, certainly not early in the game.
Utah in the first half allowing only 25 points a game in this tournament and leading by an average of 9 points at halftime during the March stretch.
Just getting organized there as to the arrow. Arrow favored Utah, so consequently in that held ball situation, Utah takes possession. This allows Kentucky to set up their vaulted press. Notice how Utah is using a big man to come back and catch the inbounds pass, freeing up Miller.
Get 2 seconds to get it across. Okay. Miller penetrates.
Steal from behind by
pushes it out right into the arms of Shepard.
Miller with 2 early turnovers, Jim.
Shepard driving. Beautiful move by Jeff Shepard.
Great recognition by Shepard. He realizes they're playing him to shoot the jump shot, so he comes out on that curl move that he uses, pump fakes, and puts the ball on the floor.
Medela gets a screen from Jensen. Doesn't take the 3, though.
He has the bounce pass in. Doliak doesn't take advantage of it.
Miller posting up Edwards. Loses control of it for a third time.
The triple-double man has triple, but in the wrong area for Rick Majerus with 3 turnovers.
Padgett too strong on the 3. Medela. He loses. Shepard stripped it away.
This is not the efficiency that Rick Majerus likes to see. He likes to play half court at a time. His team is normally very efficient.
Muhammad gets free for his second basket.
Rick Majerus can't let his team go much longer without getting a little bit better offensive sets in half court. This is not Utah's basketball game.
Doliak. Very quick possession.
Yeah, Rick Majerus is going to have to call a time here. I know he doesn't want to, but he's got to get his team back into Utah basketball. Kentucky doing just what they want.
We're nearing the 16-minute mark. First whistle under it. The timeout. Muhammad, not this time, but Shepard tips it out to keep it alive for Kentucky.
Shepard at 6'5", tremendous leaping ability. Normally it's Andre Miller who's the rebounding guard, but Shepard can do it as well.
Shepard's jumper had a foot on the line, would have been a 2. Miller, nice spin away move.
Now that's coast to coast against a tremendous one-on-one ball defender against a ball handler. He took Turner. That's a palm. Absolutely.
A ragged start for the Utes, but they only trail 8-6. 4 turnovers by Utah in the first 8 possessions.
Your point of emphasis this year is on palming the ball. Now watch what happens to Wayne Turner. The reason I'm showing this, it could be a key in the game. Both of these guards love to use that maneuver. See how he's carrying the ball and freezing the defense? The officials in this particular game not going to let it get by. A major call for people to look for later in the game.
That was the first Kentucky turnover in over 18 minutes of action dating back to the second half against Stanford. So a message sent to Turner, and I'm sure Miller took note also.
Absolutely. Both of these guards like to employ that particular technique. It's impossible to defend.
Big changes in the Utah lineup. Jordy McTavish is in, handling the ball now.
McClure in. You're going to see that 2 guys in the post for Kentucky. 1 primarily Doliak for Utah.
Britton Johnson, 31, now with the ball. His first play. And now David Jackson, the 3rd sub for the Utes.
This unit being a little bit more patient with the ball. Nice speed.
Doliak dunks it over McGlure.
That's what Rick Majerus wants. Now, he was waiting for that TV timeout, Jim, but he knew he had to get one to get his team back to Utah basketball.
McGlure wanting to make a move. Yes.
Tremendous move for Tubby Smith. To get Jamal McGlure to come up with a big offensive play is a real bonus for Kentucky. Here you see Doliak. McGlure tries to fight over the top. He gets caught on the wrong side. Too late. Doliak does the good thing by going for the dunk instead of putting it up on the glass. And here's Jamal. The Canadian goes in. Nice scoop shot.
Great step to the basket. McGlure, you can just see his confidence rising in this tournament alone.
Well, Jim, remember the left-hand hook that he made against Stanford, a key play for Kentucky.
Hashimu Evans for Kentucky. Perhaps the most dangerous sub on either side in this game.
Well, certainly the most consistent. And the thing that makes him so good, Jim, coming off the bench, he can play any one of 3 positions defensively, and he's not afraid to go down inside and rebound with anybody, regardless of size.
3 subs back here handling the press for Utah. McTavish now goes long. Let's see how they handle the press with Miller on the bench.
Well, they've got a freshman handling it, and that was trouble against West Virginia. Trouble for Utah.
Britton Johnson doubled up. Gets it over to Jackson. Johnson, freshman, takes the 3. Got it.
Is he going to be the unknown soldier?
He was one of your candidates.
Absolutely. The kid doesn't even understand that there's 45,000 out here. Sometimes that happens. He had to sit out the first 11 weeks of college basketball, but he's coming on strong here in the postseason.
McTavish with the body. Not in the act of shooting. They'll bring in Metala and Miller. Best rebounding teams in the country. Utah 1, Kentucky 2. What does it take to get to the championship game when you start practice next October? Show them this graphic, right?
Well, and you know what's interesting, Jim? Probably because Kentucky has played and been so proficient offensively, they have a negative rebounding advantage or disadvantage in the tournament, but they haven't gotten many offensive rebounds because they're scoring so much.
Jackson got stuck underneath. Last touch by Kentucky. Wildcats come in with Saul Smith, Cameron Mills. Smith, the freshman, son of the head coach. Cameron Mills, former walk-on and senior, who was such a factor in last year's tournament.
Kentucky, as an example, was out-rebounded by Stanford 45-40, but still won the basketball game. On the line.
Back foot on the line for Britton Johnson.
Give Evans a lot of credit there. Good, hard-nosed defensive pressure pushed him out. Said hard-nosed, it looked like Evans has got a little hard nose there. He's got the bandage right over the top of his nose.
He's got the
or is that
the strip? Yeah, well, he's battling allergies down here. Allergic to pollen. Been acting up on him in San Antonio. So that's why he's donning the strip. Evans takes the shot over Metala. Miller comes in, crashing the boards, and Utah runs.
Good job by Miller to recognize what's behind him.
Jensen inside, and McGlure gets the first swat of the game.
43 blocks for Kentucky in the NCAA tournament.
Breaking the record of UMass as a team block record in the NCAA back in '96. Jensen, I mean, there was no one within 10 feet of him.
Mental breakdown.
And Utah has the lead for the first time.
There's the curl move. Shepard takes
time tonight. Shepard penetrates.
Rick Majerus and staff love to look at film so much, and I'm sure they had their players aware that he's going to come off that curl and take the jump shot, and Shepard really crossing him up here twice early on.
5th tie in the game's first 7 minutes.
Here's where Utah's a lot like Princeton in terms of philosophy. Half court. They just make you work so hard defensively.
I know Metala. The possession almost got away from Utah, but it ends up with the Metala basket. Medela now banging bodies with McGlure inside. Mills wanting to feed it to McGlure.
Mills will find out that Jensen's a fine defender. He'll have a hard time hitting anything except the outside wide open jumper, which he gets.
Utah boxing out underneath. Up high. Johnson snaps it out. Jackson 3. And Medela crashes the board for the putback. That was some save, though, by Britton Johnson to get that ball back into play.
Absolutely, Jim. The presence of mind not only to catch the ball, but to make the feed while in the air.
And a turnover.
No, it's a solid screen defensive foul on Evans, trying to free up Shepard. There is Johnson, the catch, the flip out. And watch, Hanno Medela was all the way at the top of the key when this shot went up. Nobody blocked him out. Interesting play. See where Medela is on the pass. Miller throws. Johnson catches the ball as he's spinning, has the presence of mind to feed back to the outside. And here comes Medela, the man that was equal to Miller on the pass, down with nobody blocking him out to put it back in to put Utah ahead 17-13.
That was quite a finish by the man from Helsinki, Hanno Medela, with 6 points for Utah, and the Utes out-rebounding Kentucky at the start 9-2, one of the Packer points. What's
new, Jim? This team fundamentally so beautiful to watch with their rebounding technique. Good pump fake.
Medela, little force that time, but got it back. Muhammad with the block. Evans out of bounds. Utah ball.
Jim, yesterday I watched the Hoop Summit game in which the 12 top international juniors played against 12 top American high school seniors. The international kids won. So Medela is not going to be the last of guys you're going to see in the Final Four coming from international countries. Just terrific basketball action yesterday, and a lot of kids. A kid from Germany by the name of Nowitzki was sensational.
Tom beat him once on the inbound play, but not this time. Evans with the theft. Turner, penetration cut off by Miller. Blocked the pass.
Quick
and Turner and Kentucky turn it over. Miller leans in, jumper back to the rim.
He has a complete green light from Rick Majerus to take that ball the length of the floor. Miller with 37 minutes the other day in the semifinals at the steps.
Utah turning it over now for the 7th time in the half.
Jim, that's surprising because against North Carolina, they only turned the ball over 9 times the entire basketball game. This is not what Rick Majerus would want.
Trace Caton, number 21, comes in for Utah. His brother Ben was a starter on the Utah team last year that made it to the Final 8 before being ousted by Kentucky. Muhammad showing his outside shot.
Not his shot, Jim. I can't believe that Kentucky this quickly has gotten away from pounding the ball down inside to Nazi Muhammad. He and McGlure have both scored on Doliak down and low. Again, big men bringing the ball up the court for Utah, altering the press.
Medela. Some matchup with Padgett. Another whistle. That's on Miller.
Yep, Miller on a screen away from the ball.
His first.
Rick Majerus screaming to his team, move. He wants that motion offense to really be working, making Kentucky use about 20-25 seconds of hard-earned energy to defend them.
Makes the move. That shot over Doliak.
That's where Kentucky is really effective, getting him down in the low blocks. And here comes Miller again.
Uses the body to draw the foul on Muhammad. Miller, who struggled at the line against North Carolina, will shoot 2. Muhammad's first foul.
Here we see the ball going down inside. Now that does 2 things. It forces Doliak to have to really work on defense. It also potentially puts him into some foul trouble. And as I said, Kentucky has 2 players that split about 35 minutes in the post. Doliak in the tournament has been playing 30 minutes himself. So Kentucky has to make Doliak work, as they did there.
Miller continues to misfire at the line, spilling over from Saturday. But in the tournament, what a stretch he's enjoyed. 28 points in a game against Arkansas, career high. Utah's first ever triple-double in the drubbing of Arizona.
18 points, 14 rebounds, 13 assists, Jim, in that game, and only 3 turnovers. Probably the best single performance in this tournament. The first triple-doubles I know of in the tournament since Magic Johnson did it in the Final Four.
Padgett got the shot to drop over the freshman.
Yeah, he's just too strong down inside for Johnson.
Padgett showing that versatility. He can hang out beyond the arc, or he can post you up.
Absolutely.
Figures to be one of the stars of college basketball next year. Already is this year.
A young man who at 96 was not part of a national championship team on academic probation, but he's battled back both athletically and academically since then.
Doliak frees himself with a little move. 6 for the center of the Utes.
Jim, both teams be well served to keep pumping that ball down inside in the low blocks, because neither team doing a very good job defending down there. Hansen gets called for a foul trying to stop Shepard coming off the curl. It's amazing for Kentucky what develops when they go to Nazr Mohammed down low. It opens up everybody else outside. Again,
easy feed, easy hoop for Nazr, the big Z.
I think Doliak's getting a little tired, Jim. He's being asked to help bring the ball up in the press. So far, Tubby Smith, as he has throughout this tournament, brilliantly using his 2 postmen.
Overfiring the 3. Doliak follows it up. See, the Doliak story, though, is he has to withstand not only Mohammed, but Mohammed could go out and they bring McGlure to bang with him.
Absolutely. It's 2 against 1 there. So far, Doliak doing a good job, but he's got to get tired.
Mohammed again. Tipped by Padgett. Scott Padgett, who did not make the U.S. 22 and under team last summer, coached by Rick Majerus. They had a rift.
Well, he's making up for it tonight, but he's taking advantage of the fact that he's so much stronger than Johnson, pushing him right underneath the basket.
Hansen, he can make these. 3-pointer, spins out.
Great rebound by Doliak.
Draws the foul on Kentucky. Maybe Mohammed. It's on Mohammed, his second.
You'll notice inside, shot goes up, but here's where Padgett is just too strong. Johnson has got to put a body on him, keep him away.
Biggest lead in the game on either side has been 4. A Ute lead of 1. San Antonio. Field goal percentages are up for these 2 defensive powers. Look at the rebounds, though, Billy. That's startling. 15 for Utah, 3 for Kentucky.
Well, as I said, it's surprising, and there's a reason, because they've been so high scoring in this tournament, but Kentucky has not rebounded during the tournament like they did in regular season. Utah continues to be very solid in that area of basketball.
Doliak sits. Billy, you said he looked very fatigued.
Oh, he was. He could hardly walk off the floor, but he gives Rick Majerus everything he could ask. Now let's see whether they can withstand it. Metal will have to go down inside and play McGlure.
Metal has had a fantastic start for Utah. 6 points and 7 rebounds. He was an exchange student here at San Antonio Churchill High School back in 1994, but ineligible to play Texas high school ball because he was on the Finnish junior team. That broke Texas rules.
Jim, the first time I ever saw him play was against both Wake Forest and Arizona. He didn't have a lot of stats in either one of those games, but he put the ball on the floor, and I said, this kid is really going to be special. And he's showing that he is.
Showing his stuff here, and blocked by McGlure and a whistle. McGlure can't believe it.
That was a good break for Utah, because Padgett did a fine job coming over, allowing McGlure to be in a position to block this shot. Now watch Padgett come over to help out. Reverse move. Padgett comes over from the weak side, and that puts McGlure in perfect position to block the shot. Doesn't quite get it.
Medela to shoot 2. He signed with the Utes after both Rick Majerus and Jeff Judkins, his assistant, came to Finland. to try to talk him into playing for Utah. So that was quite a commitment. He had visited Cal Berkeley also, and Carolina had offered a visit, which he never took. Medela gives Utah the 3-point lead. Kentucky has not made a three in this game, and that's something Utah took away from Carolina on Saturday.
They've taken it away from everybody, holding people down on 25% from three in this tournament. They're not giving you many good looks.
Yeah, Kentucky's 0 for 3 from behind the arc. Shepard up and over Medela, but comes up short.
Hands straight up. I thought he fouled Shepard on the play. No call. You can always tell if guys are really concentrating on the game. They don't gripe at officials' lack of calls. They just go play basketball. One of the things that really hurt North Carolina on Saturday.
Johnson lost control of it. Turner driving all the way. Wayne Turner.
Jim, we've got 2 point guards that can really finish. We saw Turner do that constantly against Duke University. He can take that ball the length of the court, as can Miller. These are important minutes for Utah with Doliak out of the game. A 5-second call and a smart play by Jeff Shepard. Instead of having aggressive defense, he just hung around with him. Here's Turner on the drive.
I tell you, if Andre Miller's not careful, he'll get on the triple-double here tonight, but the third stat will be turnovers. He's got 5 here in the first half.
See, normally you think that defender has to aggressively be guarding it, but all he has to do is be within 6 feet in the guarding position, and that's what happened on that play.
Switch off.
Boy, good hedge moving on defense by Utah.
Patchett steps back for the 3. As good a look as Kentucky could ask for. Ahead, Miller. Jensen at the other end. And Utah is in front by 3.
Andre Miller is averaging 7.8 rebounds a game in the NCAA tournament play. We're talking about a point guard averaging almost 8 rebounds a game. That's sensational.
3 rebounds tonight. That average certainly bolstered by the 14 rebound effort against Arizona. Doliak comes back. He got a nice break.
Well, you know, he had 14 rebounds against North Carolina. That's not bad either.
Patchett's out. Michael Bradley's in, a freshman for Kentucky. Shepard picks up the loose ball.
Doliak with the rest and the block out. Gets it. Good smart play by Evans. Don't you got to cut Miller off.
The center will take the 3, top of the key. Doliak delivers. And Utah has its biggest lead of the championship game.
Give Rick Majerus credit. He knew Doliak was exhausted. Gives him the rest. He has enough to be able to come out there and hit the 3, which he does very well for a big man.
Evans lost control of it, and Utah might have some numbers. Well, Jensen will slow it down. Jackson had broken ahead. Miller got the lane. Too strong.
Doliak
had a good open putback, but misfired. Shepard. Miller forced the steal. Jackson breaks ahead. Doliak the trailer.
Oh, against the great shot blocker, Miller goes under McGlure. He is fearless on the break.
A Utah run, and the Utes lead by 8. Shepard.
Wide.
Ahead again, it's Jensen. And 1.
Jim, you have to ask why. Kentucky's game against Utah is to go down inside and make Doliak work defensively. They're not doing that. They're playing kind of like North Carolina did in a frenzy. Really out of sync is Kentucky. Beautiful hit-ahead pass. Young man who was on a mission for 2 years comes back, played as a freshman, put that one in without trouble.
David Jackson with the assist. Here he is, Alex Jensen. Rick Majerus believes, had he been here either one of the last 2 years while he was away on his mission to England, he thinks he would have been in the Final Four with them.
Now, Jim, remember the fact that Kentucky has knocked out Utah the last 3 times they played. 93 in a rout, 96 in a rout, 71-01, 97 in a semi-rout, 59-72. So, but the Utah kids say, hey, they aren't the same players that we played against in those previous years.
Johnson in for Jensen. That's a deceiving score last year. It was a tight game with 4 minutes to go. Then Miller hurt his hand and did not return. Hook shot, McGlure. The season is just ending too fast for McGlure. He is absolutely in stride here in the tournament.
Miller again, wise decision on his part when he saw McGlure there at the end.
On the baseline, a piece of the arm. That'll send Miller to the line. The two best rebounding teams in the country, and this is astonishing.
Astonishing, Jim, and I'll tell you why. If you're playing against Utah, you want much better shot selection. They block out so well. Kentucky has taken shots before their team was in position to rebound. When you take a bad shot, your own teammates don't think it's going up, so they don't get in position. Really playing into Utah's hands.
That foul was on McGlure, his second. So McGlure and Muhammad with 2 each. Padgett comes in for McGlure.
All WAC player, all defensive player in the WAC, the MVP of the West region. Miller just one honor after another.
Got them both. A double-digit lead for Utah.
It's time for Kentucky to think inside, but when I say that, I look out on the floor, and neither Nazr Muhammad or McGlure in there. It's Bradley, so they almost have to go outside. Funny lineup in the game at this time for Kentucky. 3:47 to go without any of their 2 key postmen in the game.
Padgett. Soft hook. And that's the second time Padgett has scored down on the block with the blocks.
I'm almost surprised that Doliak doesn't take Padgett.
Johnson, 3.
A little quick for Utah's liking.
Allen Edwards, beautiful drive to the hoop.
Edwards has had a tremendous NCAA tournament. 2 brothers that played in the NCAA who never got to a Final Four.
Three minutes to go in the first half. Doliak in the lane. And Bradley pushed off.
And there again, we see posting up down in the paint 3 to 5 feet away. And here's that slashing drive. Great play by Edwards. Kentucky probably will play without having Bradley in the low post now and try to get the slashing plays of Edwards and maybe even slide Padgett down in the low post.
2 for Doliak. Doliak was born right here in San Antonio. His father an orthodontist in the military, and he was schooled here in San Antonio also. Doliak was asked yesterday, what's it like playing for a coach like Rick Majerus, who's always firing off all those funny one-liners? What's it like in practice? He says, oh, we get a lot of the one-liners in practice, but they're not funny.
He's shooting 85% from the line in the NCAA tournament, over 80% from the line during the course of the season, so a very good free throw shooter.
A lot of subs in for Utah. Jordy McTavish has come back, number 11.
You get the feeling that Tubby Smith may want to try to wear this team down right before the half because he doesn't have a normal lineup out there right now.
Padgett, he's got Metola on his back this time. Cameron Mills fouled on the drive.
And this helps Kentucky. Mills 20 for 21 on the year from the foul line. Kind of guy you want to get on that line.
Coming up on Pennzoil at the half, Greg Clark and Coach Smith will have the first half analysis, and we'll be joined by Senator Bill Bradley with his perspective on the tournament. That's all coming up on Pennzoil at the half. Cameron Mills, he was offered a scholarship out of Dunbar High School in Lexington to go to Georgia, but his dream was to go to Kentucky, where his father had played for Adolph Rupp from 69 through 71. And Rick Pitino told him, we can't offer you a scholarship. He says, Coach, if I'm good enough to make the team one day, maybe I'll be good enough to earn a scholarship. And he has.
And he not only won a scholarship, but he took Kentucky really to the Final Four last year. He's the leading scorer going into the Final Four, was sensational in the SEC tournament. Has been kind of quiet here in this year's NCAA run.
Doliak with 12 points leading Utah, and the Utes lead is 6. Utah's first final Since 1944, a Utah team that had actually entered the NIT lost in the first round to Kentucky. And on the way home, they had to sub at the last minute for an Arkansas squad that had been in an accident. And Utah went on to win that national championship in 44. They returned to this stage for the first time tonight. And another turnover by Miller.
Half-court zone trap. Big turnover by Kentucky. They had advantage. Good half-court zone trap.
Utah had Doliak underneath. Johnson.
Oh, great play by the freshman.
What a half he's had. 5 points for Britton Johnson.
Tim, he almost saw the pass to Doliak, and then Evans did a great job. A very smart defensive play took that pass away. I think this is a big advantage right here for Utah to have Bradley in the game in these closing minutes, because they aren't able to occupy Doliak on the defensive end of the court with Bradley in the game, as opposed to having Nazr Mohammed or McGlure in there.
Kentucky now 0 for 6 from 3.
Kentucky playing a zone right now. This kind of helps Utah as well, because it slows down the basketball game for them. Tipped off. Good job by Cameron Mills. Tipped off Johnson's hand. You know, you showed that tournament summary, Jim. 9 of the last 11 winners of the NCAA championship have played at least 11 games against the field. Kind of surprising. This year, Kentucky came in 11-2. Utah just 3-2.
It's very sparse amount of competition.
It really is.
Against tournament teams. That's a 20 charge to Utah. Let's check the Microsoft data bank. And Utah won the championship in the 5th year. Oregon and Wisconsin, Stanford, and Wyoming, then Utah, 1944. The Tall Furs of Oregon, the first champions ever of the NCAA.
And Arnie Farron, who we have seen around town, was the most outstanding player in that championship run. Scored 22 points in the championship game. He looks young enough today to still be playing out there. I know he's very proud of this Utah team. 3-time All-American from Utah.
Padgett, hook shot, strong, Miller. And last touch by Edwards.
Boy, I really don't like the lineup that Kentucky has on the floor to go down a stretch. They're trying to do it with defense, but they sure aren't going to occupy Doliak very much by not having a post man.
Under a minute.
They're trying to get it with the defensive pressure right here. See, being in a zone, that allows Utah to play a pace game.
Hansen got Evans to commit, stepped over. That's a 2.
Beautiful fake.
10-point lead.
How about that defensive play by Hansen, beating the shooter right to the spot.
2-second differential on the clock.
Switching out front.
Edwards found the lane. Somehow it bounces out.
And there's that freshman Johnson again with a rebound.
6 seconds and a half. Miller looking for help. Hansen with a second to go on the run. And we come to the half with Utah in front by 10.
Jim, no team has ever come back for more than 8 points to win a championship game. Loyola Chicago, the only one ever to do it.
1963, the biggest halftime deficit ever overturned. But they have been the comeback cats. Can Kentucky do it again? Let's go over to our colleague, Armin Katayan.
Rick, you're pounding them on the boards. Can you prevail playing this kind of game, including the turnovers?
Well, our post defense is not good. We've got to do a better job on post D, and we've got to do a little bit better job on helping out onto the curl. We've got to bump that curl a little bit better. But I like our enthusiasm. I like our presence on the fast break. We're playing with confidence.
A fine game right here. Outdistancing Turner. 2 against 1. McGlure and Mohammed basically close in points, but Doliak more than holding his own. Another advantage, Utah, the unknown soldier. It's a freshman again, fans, coming to the front. Johnson had a very good first half. And Jim, one of the things I ought to point out in these field goal shooting percentages, only one team has shot over 40% in the last 12 games against Kentucky. That was Duke with 49%. Utah is shooting 57%. That is phenomenal.
This will be now the third straight game Kentucky has trailed in the second half, double digits. And a steal by Miller to open the second half. Kentucky was down 17 against Duke. Second half, 9.5 to go. Down 10 in the second half to Stanford on Saturday.
That was a steal from behind by Miller. He did not quit on the defensive end.
Ano Metola. That partially blocked by Padgett.
Padgett out here waiting for the jump shot. Doesn't get it. To me, the answer for Kentucky is to go back down inside and establish the low post offense. This gives Doliak a chance to rest.
8 on the shot clock. Padgett sets up Turner, three-point shot. And Doliak had the position on Muhammad.
Block out and board, Jim. You saw the block out. Nothing fancy. Just put a body on a man and then get the rebound. They really don't even jump that high to go up and get the rebound. They're just putting the body on people.
Best rebounding team below the rim, says Rick Majerus. We're not the best rebounding team. We're the best blockout team. Look at Miller. And that's
goaltend.
2 points. Muhammad on the goaltend, pinning it against the glass.
And Jim, I think that shot would have been a little bit short. The referee, of course, doesn't call goaltend if it had no chance to go in, but it had a chance to go in. But you can see right there the ball on the way down.
Utah's largest lead. Padgett. They go backdoor and alley-oop to Padgett for 2.
Good back screen by Shepard.
10 points for Padgett. Kentucky down 10.
Notice the high screen by Doliak here to rub Turner off. Miller didn't need it.
Trying to set up a little game inside here. Doliak and Muhammad.
Padgett's going to have to be careful, looking to double down on Doliak so soon because Metola can hit the outside shot.
Miller drives past Turner for 2. 11 for Andre Miller.
Jim, it's the first time that Turner in this tournament has been overpowered by his counterpoint point guard. Miller is very, very strong.
Shepard has a line drive bucket.
Terrific shot. He's got great elevation inside on that jump shot. Again, watch Doliak. He sets the screen, so Turner has to lay off Miller because he'll rub him right into the screen.
Bouncing it inside and out past the reach of Doliak. In the first half, Utah committed 12 turnovers to Kentucky 6, but they beat them on the offensive end 9-2.
Nice little two-man game inside with Padgett and Edwards. Develops nothing. A hold on Hansen, trying to stay with Shepard.
Kentucky comebacks this year, and really the ones that are memorable have been the last 2. The third, if it should happen tonight, would be the sweetest of all, though.
Tubby Smith doing that great job in that comeback against Duke with tremendous defensive intensity. See, Miller is helping out inside now even more. See, there he is.
Yep, right out of the arm.
And the reason he can do that is Turner is not a good jump shooter. So Miller, so smart in there, getting positioned defensively.
Metola had left his feet. Shepard drives past Doliak. And Kentucky's got it under 10.
There they go over the top of the press to Miller, and he is so dangerous in the open court.
Pin now. Metola fakes outside, goes inside. And Muhammad has his third.
Kentucky got caught in a tough switch situation, and boy, is this a big foul for Tubby Smith. He's going to have to come with McGlure to get Nazr Muhammad out of the ball game with that third foul. Really hurts Kentucky. That was a good move by Metola. He recognized the switch took place. Padgett was stuck over on Doliak, so he knew he had the bigger man that he could go by in the dribble and took advantage of it.
Metola says his favorite athlete in any sport is Timo Solani, the hockey player from Finland who plays for the Mighty Ducks. Jackson and Jordy McTavish in for Utah, and Evans for Kentucky. And Billy just received word prior to the game that Adolph Rupp's widow passed away last night in a Lexington hospital at the age of 95. Esther Schmidt Rupp, dead at 95 of natural causes.
Was with Coach Rupp every step of the way. I talked to Gail Catlett today, the outstanding coach at West Virginia, whose team was beaten by Utah. He was an assistant under Coach Rupp for 1 year, along with Joe B. Hall, who eventually succeeded Coach Rupp. Certainly one of the legends of the game, a Hall of Famer. And 50 years ago, he took his Kentucky team, the great Rupp's fabulous 5, to a national championship in 48 and again in 49.
Evans three-pointer, first of the night for Kentucky.
Big shot. Miller getting well-deserved rest. Rick Majerus, knowing that Kentucky's going to be in for a run, wants to make sure he has his point guard with some legs under him.
There is some kind of battle inside between McClure and Doliak, and a three answered at the other end by Medela.
Such a versatile performer. He and Padgett both can step outside or go inside.
McClure, not this time, and last touch by Utah.
Did you see, Jim, even on that missed shot, Utah had 3 men in inside rebounding position. Kentucky 0.
Well, they've gone to the first break of the second half on the same number as halftime. They play it break to break. Still on a shot clock. Miller steps back, fires the three, tipped over to Evans.
Pretty nice block out by McClure.
Edwards way short on a three. Britton Johnson pulls it off the floor.
This is an interesting matchup here. Shepherd with more size now than what Miller is used to seeing.
Driving, power move, and a charge on Medela.
Jim, there was a case where Jackson was being played by McClure. He was a little bit too impatient when he fed that ball into Medela. Medela goes inside. It's big against small. The small man gets better position. Smart play by Edwards.
Third, Billy, on Hanno Medela.
Now we have 2 key players, one on each team, with 3 fouls that are serious problems in the substitution pattern for both coaches.
Doliak returns to the Utah lineup. Utah with a lead that had reached 12 at one time in this second half. It's now trimmed to 7, and Kentucky looking to make another dent.
This is a very big team now that Utah has on the floor.
Evans, what a half he's given this team.
The unknown soldiers. We had Johnson in the first half. We have Evans in the second. Making a big difference. Down to 5. I really like the lineup on the floor here for Kentucky.
Johnson underneath, and a travel.
Tubby Smith has got a lineup on the floor that's got some serious problems, and Rick Majerus recognizes it too. He's got to make some adjustments.
A 20 called by Utah. Sunday, I mentioned it a moment ago, a lot of attention before the season about Kentucky with a black head coach and the evolution of Kentucky basketball, where 32 years ago, Kentucky, an all-white Kentucky team, lost to Texas Western in the national championship game.
A Texas Western team that got in the final game by beating Utah. There's Donna.
We hear so much about racial divisiveness. What a nice story, though, about racial harmony in Kentucky.
Absolutely. There's the pass by Turner. Doliak seeing the play very well.
And wow! It looked like it just crawled up and over the rim.
He beat Shepherd on the drive baseline. Shepard's got about an inch and a half on him, and not only does he beat Shepard, see it right here, turning that shoulder in, then he goes over Paget and gets the roll. Sensational play.
Way short, but and another rebound. Floater, and somehow that one bounces out.
And gets another rebound. And then Wisely pulls it back out the setup.
Trying to make it a 4-point trip for Utah.
This is the best matchup I've seen on the floor for Kentucky in a while to play against this Utah team. I think they can make a real run here. And runs they've made. 17-0 Duke at 20-5 UCLA. 19-0 against St. Louis.
Britton Johnson for Medela.
Remember, Medela with 3 fouls. Rick Majerus kind of lucky there that he didn't pick up a cheap one. Turner back on Miller.
5 on the shot clock. Utes don't look like they're aware of it. Hansen with 1. Saw it. Got it off in time and snagged out of the air by Paget. Paget gets set. He loves that shot.
Oh, he does. And Turner set him up perfectly. You can feel the run.
Open is Johnson. McClure, oh, what a great job of shielding with the body by the freshman, Britton Johnson.
And that's against a tremendous shot blocker, Jim. He really did. He double-clutched that one.
Shepard challenges inside. Doliak and Shepard both tipped it.
I think Shepard gets credit for it.
54-50 Utah.
Doliak kind of slow getting down the floor. Remember how far he was in the first half.
A block this time. Send Jensen to the line for 2.
Boy, take a look at Jensen's uniform, Jim. It is soaked through. The t-shirt is soaked through. The uniform jersey is soaked through. He is playing so hard.
So Alex Jensen, sophomore from Centerville, Utah.
Did his mission in England for 2 years in both 96 and 97.
Majerus called him his favorite freshman he ever coached. But he also says he left on his mission. He was a sleek greyhound as a player, and he came back as the Michelin man. He gained 50 pounds, and really it's taken all season, we talk about the perspiration here, for him to get back to the player he was 2 years ago. We've reached another break. The Ute lead 6. Tubby was a Kentucky assistant back in 90 and 91 for Rick Pitino, and he was the only man that C.M. Newton desired when Pitino went on to the Celtics. He was the choice all along.
Jim, when you talk about racial harmony, let's tip our hat to C.M. Newton. You remember he went down to Alabama as a head coach. He had played for Adolph Rupp. At Alabama, he recruited Wendell Hudson, who was their first black player at the University of Alabama in the SEC. He was the first coach ever to start an all-black team in the SEC. He comes back to his alma mater at Kentucky and hires this man right here, who he said he was his one and only choice. Remember when he hired Rick Pitino, he went up to see Rick and said, Rick, come down here. We've got a mess on our hands and fix it. Pitino did that, and Tubby is continuing the great legacy.
Turner foul on the shot, and Turner, who struggles at the line, will shoot 2.
Now, Rick Majerus is a tremendous teacher, and one of the things that he does not want his guards to do is to try to block the jump shot, merely get the hand in the face. That time, Miller was a little bit too aggressive. And we talked about Turner's foul shooting woes, Jim. Let's see what he can do here.
Kentucky averages 24 free throw attempts in each tournament game. That's only their 4th, and the next one will be their 5th attempt. It's a similar thing to what Utah did against North Carolina when they just kept the Tar Heels off. Tar Heels only made 2 free throws in that semifinal game.
And that is one of the things that North Carolina had done so well all year long, is get to that free throw line. And 1 of 2, which is right about where Turner shoots, 56% in the tournament.
56-51 Utah, 11:15 remaining.
again. You'll see if Doliak comes back to set the solid screen. They want him down in the low blocks.
Johnson waited for Doliak.
Good cut by Johnson.
Doliak blocked by McGlure.
You know what? Doliak made up his mind at that. It was not a smart play, even though he may be a pre-med student. He was better off. He predetermined he wanted that shot. McGlure adjusted beautifully.
Edwards slices in, blocked by Doliak.
Doliak walking down court is 4-on-5 now, and here he comes, just crossing half court. Big guy's getting a little tired again, as he was at the end of the first half.
Can they feed him, though? Comes back over McGlure and goes to the line. In the pregame, we talked about Kentucky erasing shots. 3 blocks on the night. And the last one, previous trip.
Then they had 14 blocks against UCLA. It was 6 apiece for McGlure and Nazi Muhammad. There was good timing by McGlure on that one. You notice the facial hair on Doliak. How about this? Rick Majerus, hey, he lets them have facial hair. Tubby Smith said, no facial hair on my ball club. So different contrast of coaching techniques right there. But Doliak's got the little gold tee.
Well, that's
Medela has one.
There's a story there. After the selection show, they decided that night they wanted to do something a little different. And they decided they're all going to grow a goatee and not shave it off until they lost. His parents, Doliak's parents. Well, in March, enjoying this Utah 7-point lead.
Kentucky still not looking to get that ball to Nazi Muhammad at all. They've got to force Utah to play him in the low box so they can get some shots outside.
Edwards really wants it, and he gets it.
That's a good offensive maneuver because Hansen is a fine defender against the dribble.
Under 10 minutes to go. And a 5-point Utah lead.
Kentucky's been playing games up in the high 80s, Jim, so you can see this is Utah's style of basketball.
Going the other way.
Is that on Miller? That would be
his third
foul. He's got to be real careful.
Near the conclusion of every NCAA game, every tournament game, we select the genuine Chevrolet most valuable player from each team. To date, Chevrolet has contributed $6.5 million. Third on Miller.
Now he has to be careful. He's up against Evans. I think Kentucky should get Evans the ball. Let him drive on Miller.
Nazi Muhammad had 8 points the first half. None in the second half until now. Nazi Muhammad.
Tremendous hands by Nazi. That ball was thrown at his kneecap, and he still recovered.
Down to 3. From 12 to 3. Doliak open. Miller helped clear the way. Missed the chippy.
Huge miss. Sign of a tired player, Jim.
You always come up short.
Yep.
Edwards can tie it. Kentucky saves it for a moment, and Hansen, where Utah secures it.
Miller posting up inside, fearless in there.
Left hand, had to go with the left hand, but the much taller player on his back.
How about this? One and done for Utah of late. Kentucky much fresher here.
Paget to tie it. And Medela crashes for the rebound.
Doliak walking up and down the floor now.
About 20 seconds away from getting to that under 8. And a whistle at that point would give him a timeout. An official timeout. Doliak inside again. Outside. They call the foul.
Ball hits out to the side. Look at Shepard going after it. Takes his spot in press row.
He didn't have a credential, though. Throw him out of here. The fourth on Nazi Muhammad. How about that, Billy?
Well, that hurts Kentucky because of his great offensive ability inside. But McGlure's had a fine game. And this is just another fresh leg going against Doliak, who's really getting tired.
Mettler squares up for the three, hits the side of the board.
Jimmy made a mistake. You know what he did? He looked down to see if he was beyond the three-point line. You've got to have a feel for the three-point shot. When you look down, you lose your concentration on your jumper. And he was really off on it.
Jensen with the push-off from Utah. His first.
There is no comparison between which team is fresher right now, Kentucky or Utah. Utah is really physically whipped.
Kentucky's wearing them down and bearing down on the Utes. Majerus has been brilliant in this tournament, maybe the single best coaching performance of the 90s with his win over Arizona. In his 9th year with the Utes, he's been living in a hotel ever since he took the job out in Salt Lake City. Says he never wants to have to make his bed.
So, likes the room service.
Yeah, you got it all. Why would you need a house? He turned 50 last month, and that's his lucky sweater. He's worn it every game this season. His manager's #1 job when a game ends is to take that sweater and go wash it. His sisters look on.
And of course, this is not the first time Rick has been on the bench for a Final Four. He was in 1977 on the bench as a key assistant with Hank Raymond's for Al McGuire's championship run.
Cameron Mills got the tie. Cameron Mills.
Terrific outside jump shooter. The senior now playing with some confidence.
58-58. It's a 7:20 game. And Shepard off and running.
Miller better not foul him. Shepard's a great finisher. And now Rick Majerus taking a quick timeout. He wants to take this crowd out of the game and slow down this momentum. But you can feel Tubby Smith finally got the lineup that he wanted on the floor, Jim, about 3 or 4 minutes ago.
Cameron Mills.
Ball goes inside. Miller thinks he's going to help, but Miller should never have given up on Cameron Mills, a great outside shooter. And he did a wise thing here, not following Shepard, because that would have been his 4th.
Shepard had a dunk identical to this in the 96 title game victory over Syracuse. And Kentucky has stormed back from 12 down in the second half. A 9-point run the last 3 minutes.
Talked about their runs in the tournament. Well, Rick Majerus said, Jimmy, that the NCAA tournament's been fine except when they run into Kentucky. And right now they're running into a Kentucky run.
Kentucky's first lead since 11-8.
For Utah right now, you just want to be patient. Make sure this possession leads to a good shot.
Mettler drives, whistle, push off. Mettler to shoot 2.
Mettler has really played outstanding basketball, an all-WAC performer. Now, Jim, one thing interesting about this Utah team, a very young team, but interestingly, it could kind of fall apart in a hurry. This young man has been offered $750,000 to go back to Europe to play. He says he's coming back to Utah. But certainly you can see the European professional leagues would like to have his services.
Individually, he has one goal, and that is to be the first Finn to ever play in the NBA. And I talked to him yesterday, and he said there's no way I'm signing any European deals because the best way I can make it to that ultimate goal is to come back to Utah.
And play under an incredible coach that can certainly continue to develop his talents.
Stolen by Hansen.
Shepard should not get down on that baseline unless he thinks he can finish the play.
Shepard went for the steal. Miller takes it. It spins it off the glass. Utah's back in front. Shepard kicks it out. Padgett.
He loves that shot.
Too
nice
strong.
release.
Ball on the floor, and it's Hansen again. A March Madness we'll never forget. And a game to remember as Jensen puts the Utes up now with a basket inside by the count of 64-60.
And now Tubby goes timeout. These two coaches are using everything that they can to stop and start momentum. Changing lineup, calling timeouts, orchestrating the offense.
Just when it looked like Utah was worn out, how did they rejuvenate themselves in the last 2 minutes here, Billy?
I'll tell you how they did it. They went and visited the Alamo today like I did, and they saw the sign that said, "I shall never surrender or retreat," the words of William Barron Travis, who is a lieutenant commander at the Alamo. And that's what both of these clubs are doing right now.
The Battle of the Alamo. March Madness back of 1836. The Battle of the Alamo ended on March the 6th of that year. 189 Texas Patriots met the Mexican general Santa Anna here in San Antonio. Out of the 20, Kentucky down 4.
Tubby Smith set up that curl move for Shepard. Nothing there right at that point. Well scouted by Utah.
Mills. Wow! 2 in a row for Cameron Mills.
Hey, who's the highest scorer this year in an individual game for Kentucky? No, it's not all those stars. It's Cameron Mills with 31 that he had against Florida. He can shoot the ball.
Goliath. Book over Magor. Turner comes in for the rebound. Kentucky can regain the lead. Bounce pass Shepard. Pulls up, and Kentucky does in fact lead, 65-64.
Turner pushes that ball up the floor just like Miller does. Boy, this is some matchup of the point guards.
Some matchup for the championship. 4:40 remaining. A 1-point Kentucky lead.
When that ball goes into Doliak, Utah is doing too much standing around. They need to get some cutters when the ball goes inside.
Tremendous save by Miller. Ball almost went out of bounds. Now they feed it into the post. And a McClure block. Utah ball.
Boy, you can see the frustration now on the players' faces. Every possession so important. McClure goes up. Kentucky has just obliterated the shot blocking in this NCAA tournament.
3 blocks tonight for McClure.
The records have fallen. Oh, nice comeback by Miller.
Paget came over to help out.
Over the back.
Medela over the back.
4, isn't it?
It's his 4th. And he knew it. Clutching his hands in frustration.
Well, there was a case where Miller is so good when he gets that out-of-bounds play and then cuts himself, jackknifes right back in to play low post. But he'd probably been smarter to take that ball back outside, Jim. There was nothing there.
Britton Johnson will spell Medela to the bench with his 4. McClure to shoot 1 and 1. Starter the first 12 games of the season.
Young man having a fine game on both ends of the floor, and he's had to because Nazr Mohammed was in foul trouble in the first half and is also here in the second half. Tubby Smith signaling if he makes this what defensive press he wants. That's a big make, and it helps the press set up.
Kentucky backs off. The press, 67-64 Cats. Seven unanswered by Kentucky.
There's a double down by Paget.
Doliak, they keep feeding Doliak, and he'll head to the line for 2.
Here's a young man that you know has to be exhausted, but he's still battling back for the rebound. Young guy who, as you pointed out Saturday, Jim, not even a big recruit. Is a sophomore and a junior in high school, goes to Rick's camp, goes back, becomes the Oregon Player of the Year, signs with Utah, and has developed year after year after year into a better player. I want to point out something too. Keith Van Horn, the great All-American player, leaves Utah. And think back to Oscar Robertson, the great All-American, left Cincinnati, never having won a national championship. Is it possible that we could have a repeat as Cincinnati did after Oscar left, have a Utah team without their greatest All-American be able to go to a national crown?
McLaurin to the bench with 4.
Boy, he's played well. His teammates surround him.
Talking about teammates, Anna Medalist said yesterday, we consider Keith Van Horn to be a member of this team. He may be playing for the Nets, but he's with us on that floor championship night. Timeout. We'll be right back. About 50% from the field for a game against Utah.
And look at that, 70% the second half. Kentucky is over 50%. Rebounds now. Kentucky doing a much better job here in the second half, evening things off.
We're in a one-on-one on both sides. Each team with 2 full timeouts, and that arrow which proved so critical in the Stanford-Kentucky game Saturday, the arrow belongs to Utah at the moment.
Jim, expect Utah to go inside now with Nazir Mohammed and McClure both out of there. Doliak with these 2 timeouts, probably fresh enough to handle the ball in the low post.
Shepard, that rattles out, and a hold going to be called on Jensen of Utah. Paget to the line for a 1-and-1.
Now, with Jensen, Medela, and Doliak in there, Utah should have a rebounding advantage. But Tubby Smith loves to go with this quick team in the latter stage of the game. Makes for a very tough matchup for Utah, having a big team out there against Kentucky's quick team. Now, here's Tubby going to substitute a defensive player just for the defensive sets. Mills goes out. He brings in McClure to be the defender down on the other end. Nice move by Tubby Smith.
1-and-1 for Scott Paget. Called it the happiest day of his life when Rick Pitino called and offered him a scholarship.
You know, Jim, Tubby, not surprising he's making these moves. He's taken 3 different teams to the NCAA tournament in the last 5 years. Tulsa, Georgia, and Kentucky. He knows what he's doing.
Linda and Wilbur Paget applaud their sons' 2 made free throws. Back to a 4-point Kentucky advantage.
See how successful that move was as it puts Doliak with McClure down. There's a switch now, so Paget is on Doliak. And
Miller blows by Evans. Too strong on the layup. Well, they've had some shots close in that they haven't been able to convert.
Well, that quick Kentucky team really got to the glass well on that play. Setting a double high screen. Here comes Shepard out. That's Miller. 4 on Miller.
And he went for the steal. It cost him. Let's check out the CBS Sportsline stat of the game. Bench points. Kentucky with 23. That includes the efforts of Mills with 8 and Evans with 8. For a complete wrap-up of the men's college basketball tournament, go to the keyword CBS Sportsline on America Online. 1-1 Turner.
Huge MVP of the South region, MVP of the SEC tournament. Young man's had a great 3 weeks. Mills, whose 2 big jump shots really set this comeback alive.
With 1 of 2, Kentucky has its largest lead of the championship game, 5-point lead.
Jim, what's tough now, Miller's drive and his penetration has been taken away from him somewhat with 4 fouls. So he has to worry about both ends here.
Medela, 3-pointer.
Utah just can't hit. And there's that bench man again. Evans coming off.
Utah has gone over 3 minutes without a field goal, missing its last 6 shots.
And there is Miller trying to handle Turner. Turner should put the ball on the floor and try to go by him. He's got 4 fouls. See if he tries it. There he goes.
Medela picks him up. Medela rejects.
That was a good switch.
Shepard, 2 on the shot clock, has to take it, and Hansen underneath. They're going to have him inbound it because the horn sounded for the shot clock violation.
The crowd is so loud here that nobody was able to hear it.
Under 2 minutes to play.
Jim, you've got in excess of 40-some thousand here. The first Final Four had 5,500 in the stand, so a little bit different.
And we could have had a lot more. That's all you can squeeze into here.
Pageant on the switch.
Up high, tough pass.
Evans.
And still Utah will keep it. Huge possession here for the Utes. Cannot afford to give it back to Kentucky, down 5. And realizing the critical nature of it, there is a timeout. Actually, it's an official timeout. Each side has 2 players saddled with 4. We'll take a timeout with them. Signal, that was a charge timeout to Utah. Jim Nance and Billy Packer. Utah ball, and the Utes with only 1 timeout remaining, a full one. And Kentucky has reached 70 points here, Billy, and that's quite a significant number. It's only been reached now for the 3rd time against Utah this year.
5 seconds.
And Miller, realizing it and realizing the urgency, bounces it off Turner.
And then was very smart not only to bounce it off Turner because he couldn't use that last timeout, but then to get out of the way so the ball didn't hit him. Boy, this is a quick defensive club Tubby Smith has out there.
Miller hacked on the way in.
Now let's see if Tubby Smith comes back with Cameron Mills to have an offensive player down at the other end. He had McGlure for defense. See if he makes his offensive switch now.
The 4th foul committed by Pageant. So they have 3 players now with 4 fouls. 2 shots for Miller. And the fatigue showing at the line.
Coming up short. Jimmy, really have the feeling that Utah is going to have to get some scoring on a jump shot as opposed to keep pounding things inside.
70-66 Kentucky.
Good job by Kentucky to recognize the press. Shepard came back to meet the ball.
Kentucky trying to complete another magnificent second half comeback and complete what would be the biggest turnaround from a halftime deficit in tournament history.
Miller almost picked up number 5 on that reach. Look at how Kentucky's spreading things out. Tubby Smith going to a 1-4 set. Shepard, Jensen.
Under 10 on the shot clock. 1 minute to go for the title.
Good defensive maneuver by Rick Majerus.
And a travel on Turner.
Boy, brilliant strategy by both coaches. Rick Majerus topping Tubby Smith, however, on that one. They go to the 1-4, and Rick sends a man out to double team the man with the ball.
Timeout,
nice move.
Kentucky. Timeout, Kentucky. Utah possession. Utah has not made a shot from the field since 5:49 was on the clock.
Well, Jim, that's what I said. A jump shot would be in order for Utah because they've been trying to pack it down inside so much. Kentucky's been doubling down against Stoliak, and there's been nothing there on the baseline.
Just a 20-second timeout for Kentucky.
Jim, when you think of Kentucky, I said they won in 1948. The number 8 comes up at you. They won in 1958 with Rupp's run.
78.
With the fiddle in 5, and then they won in 78. Joe Hall with Jack Givens' great game. Is there a jump shooter in the house? Kentucky goes to his zone.
Blocked by Evans.
And he's off and running.
Evans had to come back for it. What a block by Hashimu Evans. Tipped out of bounds by Hansen. Kentucky ball.
This Evans is amazing off the bench. So versatile. The transfer from Manhattan.
Cameron Mills on the floor for Evans.
And you see what Tubby Smith did. He comes back with his shooter now. Leaves 1 rebounder in the game. He may try to go a little bit more 1-4. That shooter in Cameron Mills keeps Miller honest. That's his 5th. Oh, he called a
timeout. Timeout called by Kentucky. 34 seconds left in the game. 70-66. Cats. Jim Nance and Billy Packer, what did you think of that timeout call by Kentucky, Billy?
I was kind of surprised. As a matter of fact, of course, there's no way that Tubby Smith could have realized this, but I think that Miller would have had his 5th foul there because he was really grabbing around Cameron Mills. Now, what you have to think about if you're over in that Utah huddle right now is who are we going to foul? The clock is a major opponent here. Now, if you look down on the stats, anytime that ball's in the hands of Turner, who is on that floor, you've got to think about going after it. You don't want to foul Cameron Mills, who's only missed 1 all year long, and Padgett's an excellent free throw shooter.
A pass, they got it in. Padgett to the line. Right away, they hacked him.
I don't think that was a good idea. What they should have done is allowed Turner to handle the ball, not foul Mills or Padgett. Big gamble there.
Double bonus the rest of the way for Kentucky.
We talked about, Scott, his overall play, inside, outside. He's an 85% free throw shooter.
2 years ago, sitting out, mowing lawns, selling toasters, blenders, and radios by phone, and delivering treadmills, and now trying to deliver the knockout punch here for Kentucky in this title game.
There's Tubby Smith brilliantly, just as he has this entire tournament, weaving this substitution pattern. You notice he's kept McGlure in the game so that he has some presence on the boards, but it's been Evans for defense, Mills for offense.
2 for 2 by Padgett. That's the largest lead of the night for Kentucky's side.
You can't be real choosy who you foul, but I think Utah could have utilized that strategy a lot better by going after Turner.
They go for the 2 with Medela, and it rattles out into the arms of Hansen.
Oh, they can't get anything to fall.
Going the other way, a push off against Goliak.
Now Majerus has got the foul. Is it going to be going to go to the line? Yep, that's Medela. Is that his 5th, Jimmy?
That was called on Goliak.
Oh, okay.
Saw Cameron Mills on the brink of tears.
Unbelievable. He can't imagine anything like this. His last game ever to play for Kentucky as a walk-on in the program. As you mentioned earlier, his dad played for the legendary Adolph Rupp. Can you imagine growing up in Kentucky and playing your last game for the national championship?
Kentucky born and bred. A Wildcat all the way through. And he said that no matter the outcome, it would end up in tears for him when the final gun sounded, knowing he would never don that uniform again. The same uniform number once worn by his father. Hishimu Evans' mother, relieved at the first free throw.
His mom is Eleanor. She drives from the Bronx to Kentucky to watch him play.
Final 20 seconds. Miller, long on the 3, Shepard the rebound, Turner ahead, and forget about it. Kentucky's on the way to the title.
48, 58, 78, and 98.
Three-pointer by Jensen. Utah wanted the timeout, and they hacked Shepard. What happened in 68?
A guy by the name of Wooden.
That's right. And he's here tonight. The Wizard is always a welcome sight.
Well, there he is, Coach Wooden. 10 national championships.
Jeff Shepard, we talk about players in their uniform for the last time, and this is it for Shepard. What a career he had.
And Jim, you remember the team that played against Coach Wooden in the very last game he coached, the Kentucky Wildcats.
Biggest comeback from a halftime deficit pulled off by Kentucky tonight, breaking the Loyola record. They were down 10 at halftime. That's the all-time mark. The comeback Cats cannot be denied. Kentucky wins the championship. Shepard has been named the most outstanding player of the Final Four. A great journey for Utah, but Kentucky showed second-half heroics against Duke, back from 17 down against the Devils, exercising that haunting loss of 92, back from 10 down in the second half to Stanford. They were down 12 tonight in the second half against Utah. Kentucky has won its 7th national championship, and CBS Sports coverage will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
Welcome back to San Antonio, where we have had a marvelous finale to a marvelous tournament. Kentucky, a 78-69 winner over Utah, and the winners are with Jim Nantz and Billy Packer. Jim.
Second half comeback again, a 47-28 difference in the second half. What adjustments did you make at halftime, Tubby?
Well, we need to rebound the ball better, and defensively, obviously, we need to get some better stops. I thought we did a better job. We started to double down on Mike Doliak because he was doing an excellent job inside and got our big guys in foul trouble. But we got some great play, great individual play, and great team effort all the way around, all year long.
At the Alamo, Tubby, they said, "I'll never surrender, I'll never retreat." Did you give him that kind of halftime?
Viva la Alamo! That's what hey, that's exactly what we did. We knew we were coming back. We're comeback kids. These kids have been under duress all season long, you know, following a great program with Rick Pitino. I want to thank God, number one. I want to thank my parents for bringing me in this world. So I want to thank my lovely wife, Donna, who stuck by me. C.M. Newton, Dr. Wellington, all the folks back in Scotland, Maryland.
Hey, Tubby, I asked you yesterday.
And this great team and these great kids.
I asked you yesterday, what would your thoughts be if you won the championship? Who would you be thinking of? And now that moment has arrived. What's the answer?
Well, I said, first, I want to thank God for giving me this opportunity. And my parents, thank them for raising 17 kids the way they have. You know, knowing that that you can get this far in life. They also want to thank my family, my sisters and brothers, my wife, especially Donna, and my boys, and these great young men, and all the players I've coached in here.
Hey, Jeff Shepard. Jeff Shepard is the most outstanding player of the Final Four. What a way to finish your career. How did you guys do it tonight?
It was a team effort. I praise the Lord for this opportunity, giving us an opportunity to pull together as a team. Words can't express how we feel right now. It's awesome.
You guys will be for... Hi, Cameron.
How about walking on right now, Cameron?
Oh, this has got to be the greatest feeling in the world. I mean, to come back, we come back all year long. Every time we were down, there was no quit in this team, and there wasn't any quit tonight, and that's why we're here.
It has to feel like something very special. A Kentucky kid walking out of Kentucky and going out as a national champ.
I tell you what, if there was one way I wanted to go out, it was just like this.
Tremendous job, guys.
You guys will be forever remembered in Kentucky lore as the comeback cats. You won a national championship. It's time to go tackle the Nets. Go take down the Nets. Tubby Smith in Kentucky. And let's go back to Greg Gumbel.
All right, Jim, thank you very much. The comeback cats indeed. The Kentucky Wildcats this season are now 10-2 when trailing at halftime. Coach, it shows a lot about the players and about a coach that a team can come back from a halftime deficit to win so often.
And Greg, it was really a team effort. McClure blocking those shots. Evans hitting big threes. Cameron hitting threes. Everyone contributed, so it's a great Kentucky victory. And Utah got the shots they want, and they didn't go in.
A valiant Utah team, although it's a team that missed 15 of its last 18 field goal attempts. And as Billy Packer pointed out, it was a team that was getting tired, Clark.
Yeah, I really think so. That was one of the big factors, the fact that the front line players for Utah really were spent at about the 8-minute mark of that second half. Big three-point shooting, great effort on both boards in the second half by Kentucky, and tremendous play from their bench tonight.
All right, let's make note of tonight's Chevrolet players of the game. They are Michael Doliak of Utah and Scott Padgett of Kentucky. Doliak, 15 points and 10 rebounds in a heroic effort. Padgett, 17 points on 6 of 11. He also grabbed 5 rebounds. We'll take a timeout here. We will come back with the trophy presentation as we continue from San Antonio in just a moment. 69 and another marvelous view of the Alamo Dome. provided by Goodyear. This reminder for you, coming up next here on CBS, for many of you, your late local news, followed by The Late Show with David Letterman, Dave's guests, heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield, and filmmaker Michael Moore. Now it's time for the trophy presentation to the 1998 college basketball national champions. Let's go to public address announcer Frank Fallon.
Your attention, please. To present the championship awards tonight, here is the chairman of the NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Committee, Mr. C.M. Newton.
On behalf of the Division I Men's Basketball Committee, I want to first congratulate both of these tremendous basketball teams for not only a great game tonight, but an outstanding tournament. And now it is a tremendous pleasure and with great personal pride that I present this championship trophy to the University of Kentucky Wildcats, Coach Tubby Smith.
First, I want to thank God for giving me this opportunity. I want to thank these wonderful young men who really dedicated themselves and have really earned the right to be called national champions. I want to congratulate Rick Majerus and the Utes for a great effort and a great game, and all the teams that participated in this tournament. It certainly is a dream come true for all of us. Also want to thank Dr. Wethington and Coach Newton for giving me this opportunity to coach such a wonderful group of young men and a great team. I want to thank our great fans, the #1 fans in the world. Thank you. Good night. No.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the NCAA, we thank you for your support of NCAA basketball.
So a happy and jubilant Tubby Smith, and why not? The Kentucky Wildcats are national champions. We'll take a time out here, and when we come back, we will hear from Utah head coach Rick Majerus in just a moment. Straight year and the 4th time since 1993 the Wildcats have knocked out Utah. Rick Majerus talked with Armin Katayan.
Rick, a magnificent effort, but how big of a factor was the fatigue? One field goal the last 5:49.
I think we tired, and I thought these guys got us here, and I thought they had to either win it or not. I probably should have played the bench a little bit more. I think that Lombardi has the most apropos quote. You know, fatigue makes, and coward is certainly not a word for our team, but you know, I think fatigue factored into it. And
what about the play of Mills and Evans off the bench?
Well, Evans hit those shots. I mean, you know, we kind of, you know, we weren't. Mills hit the shots too. Credit them. I thought we had a hand up, and I thought we defended those shots fairly well. We didn't think that Evans could shoot quite that well. We were more worried about Edwards, number 3. And they hit some shots, and quite frankly, we missed some shots. You know, Doliak has those shots inside, and we don't make our 3 throws. Andre has that 2 layups, the one on the end out where he ducks in, and then Hano has the wide open look at a 3, and he hits the side of the backboard. And I credit Kentucky. I congratulate them. They're a deserving champ. They played a terrific game, and we threw our best defensively at them, and they scored on it. So I'm so proud of my kids, and very happy to have participated in this tournament. It was a wonderful experience, and I don't think I have a fallback, you know, goal here to be number 2. So, you know, I'm sure we'll feel bad for quite a while, but you know, we were beaten by the better team tonight, and our hats go off to them.
One last thing, Rick. Do you stay in Utah? I know it's a tough question at a time like this.
Yeah, I'm going there tomorrow.
Thanks a lot, Rick. Appreciate it.
Rick Majerus and the Utah Utes. Remember the Alamo? Here in San Antonio, they'll remember Kentucky and Utah for a long time to come. This tournament has been one shining moment from top to bottom. We'll be back to that when we return to San Antonio in just a moment. 69 winners over Utah. Coming up next for many of you, your late local news, followed by Late Show with David Letterman. And Dave's guests tonight include heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield and filmmaker Michael Moore. A reminder for you, this week fitting to note at Lexington, the list is legendary. Adolph Rupp, Joe B. Hall, Rick Pitino, and now Tubby, the latest in the line of big winners at Kentucky. We congratulate Coach Tubby Smith and his scrappy, confident, persistent Wildcats who played Tubby ball all the way to the top. Our nod also to Utah and to Coach Rick Majerus and their uncompromising efforts as athletes and, as we learned, as scholars. After a march of 64 teams and 63 games, we can now look back on a tournament that affirmed the special flavor and wonder of the college game. For Clark Kellogg and Dean Smith, and for all of us at CBS Sports, I'm Greg Gumbel. This tournament has been a treasure, one bright, shining moment after another, and we've enjoyed bringing them to you. Good night, everyone, from San Antonio.
Ball is tipped, there you are. You're running for your life, you're a shooting star. All those years, no one knows just how hard you work, but now it shows. That one shining moment you reached deep inside. In one shining moment you knew you were alive. Feel the beat of your heart, feel the wind in your face. It's more than a contest, it's more than a race. It's done, win or lose, you always did your best, 'cause inside you knew that one shining moment you reached for the sky. One shining moment you knew One shining moment, you willing to try. One shining